Yo, what's going on, everyone? Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and today we're checking out State of Decay for the Xbox 360 and Xbox One.
Originally released in 2013, this was developed by Undead Labs and published by Microsoft Studios.
Let's just go through and do it.
As Brian said, it came out on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, but it also came out on Windows. The Year 1 Survival Edition includes new missions, all the downloadable content, updated graphics, a lot of stuff, really. And for the purposes of this review, we're going to be looking at both the original and the updated versions, so the reviews will kind of reflect both. Anyway, let's get into it. When it comes to graphics, it might at first not look like much, but it's actually a pretty impressive package. So, first things first, the character models look pretty good, although the zombie models and the character models themselves, they all kind of look like they were repurposed from an asset store. Nothing wrong with that considering this is an indie title, but it's something that kind of sticks out to you. The map's absolutely gigantic, so you're going to have the problems that come with that, mainly with a whole lot of texture loading. So that's, again, another problem you'll see with indie games. But considering the small team that developed this, it's really impressive to look at. Not going to say it's the best thing you'll ever see on either console, but it's certainly no slouch, so we gave it 7s. And if I had to add a beer, I'll just give it, I'll give it 2 beers. One for the pretty bad texture popping, and one for the zombies all pretty much looking the same. The sound. Again, considering the studio that made it, it's pretty impressive. The soundtrack itself is mostly a whole lot of orchestral kind of music. It fits the game really well. It's just maybe not all that memorable, but it's definitely not a knock on the game. There's a good deal of voice acting in the game, and you know what? It's pretty well done, so kudos to the voice actors here. They did a hell of a job. And you know there's no real professionals behind this, so the people that got to do it, good job. Outside of that, the guns all sound different, which is, a major sticking point with us. Again, if we had a complaint, the zombies outside of special zombies all pretty much sound the same, so their grunts and noises can get a little irritating after a while. But again, an indie title, what can you really expect? So we gave it 7s. When it comes to beer, I'll just give it, I'll give it 1 beer for the zombies all sounding the same.
The control. Well, as you see from the footage, this is a third-person stealth action-style game. Using the Xbox controller, what I will say is this is one of those games that pretty much maps an action to every single button, which Jim and I always appreciate, but I gotta be honest, sometimes it feels like you're always trying to remember to hit the right button at the right time. For example, if you're searching something, you can hit one button that can help speed up the search, but if you hit it by accident, it might make extra noise, which leaves you vulnerable to more zombies. It just takes a little while to get used to where the buttons are for this game. But other than that, everything is fairly responsive. We will say the movement feels a little jagged, and it could be actually more of a graphical error, but sometimes if you're trying to jump or vault over things or you're running from zombies, it just feels a little sticky and it's not as fluid as it should be. Once again, this is an indie developer that did this, so we're not trying to knock it too much, but it's clearly not perfect. It might sometimes hinder you from having a better gameplay experience, so for those reasons alone, I gave it a 7, Jim gave it a 6. Jim really didn't seem to like the driving that much. I got used to it because I spent a lot more time with it, but I have to agree, it's not perfect. So when it comes to beer, I'm just going to add 1 for Jim sucking at driving.
Art imitating life, huh?
The gameplay. Well, we're going to be honest. If you want the closest real-to-life zombie simulator out there on a console, this is probably one of your best options. There's been plenty of zombie games in the past, and even things like Resident Evil or other games of that style, which are more survival horror-based, still kind of get down and dirty to an action feel. And you usually get to a point in those games where zombies aren't that big of an enemy. You can mow a lot of them down really fast and it's no problem. This game really forces you to make the decision that you should probably be a little more stealthy, because even if you have a shotgun or some kind of assault rifle, mowing down zombies is not easy. And one mechanic we absolutely love is, for the most part, you're going to have to get that headshot to kill off the zombies. If you're meleeing them, when they fall to the ground, you still got to knock off their head. So that adds a level of difficulty and realism to the game. On top of that, one of the largest mechanics in this game is the building up of your headquarters. You can choose various locations around this map, and you can set up barricades, you can set up a health clinic, garages. The choice is really yours. And as you find more survivors, you can basically assign them to certain tasks, which need to be done daily, otherwise you might get overrun. There can be a lot of management in this game, or you're free to kind of do whatever you want. That's one of the things that Jim and I enjoyed the most about this. Even though it is a zombie game, it's a really deep experience. And the last thing I really want to touch on, aside from the story, which is fairly basic, this game captures what The Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead and basically every great zombie movie or show does.
Shaun of the Dead?
Sure, I'll throw that in there as well.
Yay!
Is the group dynamic and how that can start to disintegrate when everyone's really stressed out. Sometimes you'll have a person get really scared in a group, like a Jim, or...
I don't know what he's talking about.
Or you'll have someone that just gets angry with the group all the time, like Jim.
All right, yeah, that's fair.
So you're going to have to deal with that. Otherwise, it could result in someone getting hurt or dying. And this is one of those games where there's permadeaths. And so if you really like a character and you've been building them up and they die, then you wasted a whole bunch of time and you're going to feel really, really shitty. Like I said, I don't want to keep going on. I probably left some things out. It is a really deep experience, and most zombie fans will really appreciate this game. So when it comes to scores, I gave it a 9, Jim gave it a 7. Once again, I spent a lot of time with this game, and this is a game that's right up my alley. This is not an easy pick-up-and-play game. This is one you're basically going to have to sit down for sessions of at least 2 to 3 hours to really get the most out of it. So it is a time investment. When it comes to beer, I'm just going to add 1 for being one of the best zombie simulators I've played.
All right, originality. Everything Brian said?
Damn it, Jim!
Ow, fine, I'll put effort in. Anyway, yeah, so like I said, it's a lot of what Brian said. It's the crafting, it's the permadeath, it's just the overall world experience and the realism that it makes you feel like being in an actual zombie apocalypse. All the components really on their own aren't all that original, but the way the game puts it together definitely gives it an original feel. So we both gave it 6s. And when it comes to beer, I'll just add 1 for Brian making me try hard.
Get good!
Damn it!
The replayability, while this game has a really deep experience and you can play through with multiple characters, the actual scripted events don't really change, and from what I saw, a lot of them are going to repeat. You can still go through the game, you can decide you're going to go through and only focus on melee or be really good with a gun. It's really up to you. However, the one thing that really limits this game, and I believe Undead Labs is working on for the sequel, is there is no multiplayer. Had there been, I think this game would really have rised above the level that it's at already. So hopefully that's something we're going to see in the future. Unfortunately for these titles, you can only play single player. With all that being said, I gave it a 7, Jim gave it a 6. While you may be able to pick different headquarters and play different characters, what you will find is you're going to be repeating the same actions. Go through a house, clear it out, find items, kill zombies, and survive. So the formula stays pretty much the same. When it comes to beer... Yes?
Would you say it's like the PUBG of zombie games?
Ow! That's H1Z1, you son of a bitch! So when it comes to beer, I'm just going to add 1 for there being no multiplayer in this awesome game. Overall, we really do enjoy this game, and I was one of the people who bought it when it first came out, and then later got the Year 1 edition. Obviously, if you're watching this video, if you have the option, pick the Year 1 since it includes the DLC and a few additional modes, and some improvements to the overall gameplay experience. However, as I said during replayability, as fun as this game is, there will come a point when you might feel like you're kind of repeating your actions over and over. Sure, there are main story missions and things that progress the game and give you a little bit of a different feel, but after you've cleared your 50th house and you get your headquarters up to a certain point, it just kind of feels like you're going through emotions. So with all that being said, we both gave it a 7. It's a really fun game. There are some technical limitations and some issues with the gameplay that I've mentioned, but still, we would highly recommend it. So when we combine all of our scores together, it rounds out to a 7.1, which is pretty much right on the mark with how me and Jim feel about this game. Definitely above average, just not perfect. When it comes to beer pairing, I want to go with one of the most underrated pumpkin beers that I've tried, and that's a Stagmeyer Pumpkin Ale. Now, one of the reasons it's underrated is probably because not a lot of people have tried it, because it's actually more local to where I live. But still, if you can get your hands on this, it's a very affordable pumpkin beer, packs a lot of flavor, and it'll be a nice complement to this game, because you can put back a few of these without it altering your ability to play the games. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Until next time, guys, cheers.